Hi, and thanks for your interest in the work I've done in collaboration with Landry Bowles and Jared Lewis Peacock in the Loopy Lab at the University of Texas at Austin using eye tracking to look at attention allocation during prospective remembering. This is a short, 6-minute version of this presentation where Landry and I are going to present an overview of the work. If you have any questions or want further information, please do not hesitate to send me an email or join in the chat. Prospective memory is our ability to perform intentions at an appropriate time in the future in spite of concurrent and competing demands from the environment. In this project, we used eye tracking in order to get a more specific characterization of how individuals allocate attention while performing a prospective memory task across different levels of ongoing demands. Previous research has primarily relied on a behavioral dual task interference measure, referred to as PM-COST, to infer attention allocation strategies used during prospective remembering. The amount of PM costs are thought to be indicative of either effortful allocation of resources towards strategically monitoring the environment for a cue to perform the prospective intention and/or sustained maintenance of that intention. These effortful processes are referred to as proactive control. When costs are absent, individuals are thought to be relying on reactive control strategies, which are characterized by the forming of a cue-action association that is stored in memory until a cue from the environment triggers retrieval of the intention. However, because PM costs are this indirect proxy for strategy that conflate many possible sources, there is still a debate about what PM costs actually represent, and more generally, how individuals adjust attention allocation in order to perform PM tasks. In this project, we used eye tracking in order to directly quantify the strategic monitoring component of PM strategy during PM task performance. We also evaluated how that monitoring component changes across different ongoing demands in order to see how individuals adapt PM strategy in different contexts. Lastly, we wanted to directly relate PM cost to our direct quantification of strategic monitoring to help answer what exactly PM costs can tell us about PM strategy and PM performance. We had participants perform an ongoing visual search task where they looked for a rightward-facing horizontal arrow and an array of other distractor arrows, indicating if the arrow was present or absent in that array. We manipulated the difficulty of the ongoing task by adjusting how similar the distractor arrows were to the target arrow on that trial. We embedded a prospective memory task by introducing a unique face or scene item to participants at the beginning of each trial and told participants to continue to perform the ongoing arrow task. However, if this particular face or scene popped up on the screen, they should respond target instead of present or absent. There were some trials with no face or scene target, referred to as no PM trials, so that we could compare performance between trials when participants did and did not have a prospective intention. Our measure of overt monitoring was tracking when individuals were fixating on the face and scene items.
The first analysis here simply replicates previous work from the lab demonstrating that on average, participants do not need to sacrifice performance on the ongoing task in order to perform the PM task on the left, and do not sacrifice performance on the PM task in order to perform the ongoing task on the right. We also replicate previous work from the lab showing that PM costs are greatest when the task is easy and decreases as ongoing task difficulty increases. A quick summary of the middle row is that both overt monitoring and engagement with the arrow search task drive PM costs, not simply overt monitoring alone. Additionally, the relationship between overt monitoring and PM cost changes as a function of ongoing task difficulty. The plot on the right here shows that by using the arrow and PM item fixation durations, we about double our ability to explain variance in subsequent PM performance compared to using PM costs alone. And in fact, adding PM costs to the fixation measures does not statistically improve the model. In my opinion, the most interesting result is this last set, where we really take advantage of the eye tracking temporal resolution where we can get a sample every 4 milliseconds. The plot on the left shows fixation trajectories for a couple of sample probes. Here you can see the fixation and saccades that were used to generate the plots on the right, which were scaled by the response time on each probe and averaged across PM cost and ongoing task difficulty levels. The top dotted line and above indicates where fixation location on average was within the PM item region of interest. The bottom line and below indicates when the fixation location on average was within the arrow array, and between the lines would mean that the average fixation location was somewhere between the two. For the plots on the right, the red bar is probes with high PM costs, the gray is mid-level costs, and blue is probes where no cost was observed. We see that on high cost PM probes, there is early and prolonged monitoring of the PM items. On no-cost probes, we see an opposite pattern, where fixations are squarely within the arrow array until the last quarter of the probe, and then switch to PM items. In summary, eye tracking allows for more time-sensitive and direct analyses of the mechanisms that support prospective remembering. Using these tools, we've been able to uncover PM strategy differences that are normally obscured by the often used PM cost measure. And lastly, this data suggests that there is a way to capture and characterize the nuance between levels of proactive and reactive control to better describe the ways individuals adjust their attention allocation in order to perform prospective intentions successfully. Thanks for your time, and if you have any further questions or want to learn more, please do not hesitate to contact me.